So today we're going to be talking about Kelly Cowscrop's first press conference, her first press conference as the president of the Indiana Fever. And it's an interesting one. And before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to 37.5k subscribers by the end of the day. So let's take a look. And obviously, the best place to aggregate everything, 90% of the time, I will just look at the Ken Swift Twitter. Shout out to him. So, obviously this was live. So, first thing we're going to listen to is her talking about what the team needs to be a contender.
What elements does this team need to take that next step, and how does free agency enter into the equation?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that we have two foundational players, probably three. You get two rookies of the year in a row with a front court player in Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and then Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, I think that the veteran leadership that Kelsey was able to provide, we need to help her. We need to add to that.
So obviously keeping Kelsey Mitchell is a priority. I would say that it probably wasn't that much a priority prior to the Olympic break, because I think Kelsey Mitchell was playing like a borderline all-star. Like let's just say the 25th best player in the W. And then post-Olympic break, she was playing like the 10th best player in the W.
I spent a lot of years just trying to add experienced players around Timothy Catchings, because it was really, veterans that have been in the foxhole and have been together. Those are ways that elements of success. It's not a magic bullet. There's not a quick fix, but I do think this team needs.
MMA Saman or Satu Sabli are a quick fix, to be fair.
A little bit more experience, probably some more size. And if you look at the teams that are in the playoffs right now, they're loaded with players who've been there.
But the only way you're going to get the experience is by getting there. So, to be fair, Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston are going to have that experience at some stage. We saw it again from the playoffs, where it's like Caitlin Clark did have her one game where she was super in the playoffs. In her defense, she was bad in one game and she was super in the other one. So, yeah, it is what it is with that. So this is her talking about the future of Kelsey Mitchell. And this is 2 minutes, so I'm going to be putting this on 1.5 times speed.
Got one on Zoom from Howard Megel, and we'll go back to Dave Calabro in the back. Howard, go ahead.
Kelly, welcome back. I have two, if I can. First one is just, you mentioned Amber, obviously, and you both have a significant amount of experience, not just on the business side, but on the basketball side. I'm sort of wondering how the rubber hits the road, what that looks like together. And the other is, you talked about two, maybe three foundational players. I would imagine that third being Kelsey Mitchell. You can just kind of take me through where and how you think that negotiation is likely to go.
Okay. Yeah. So, Kelsey. I'll start with Kelsey Mitchell. She was a player that was drafted in the last group that I was part of. So Pokey Chapman was our coach and GM. I went to see Kelsey play at USA Basketball in Santa Barbara at one of their workout camps, and I called Pokey and I said, I'm watching our draft pick right now. She's going to be a star, this player. She's going to be a dynamic guard for us for years to come. So, we wouldn't be where we are today without Kelsey Mitchell. She's clearly a very foundational piece. She's got 7 years of being in and out of this building. She went through a lot. As we were preparing to be even better, as a better place to play, a new practice court, a new arena, all the remodels. Kelsey went through all of that, and she got better. She never put her head down. She kept playing hard and did everything she could. So she's extremely important to the success of the future. We intend to, have lots of conversations and make sure she knows that, but I think she does know that. And look, Amber and I, we're both, as general managers, she's going to be doing a lot of the day-to-day groundwork. For me, we're both going to be talking to agents. We're both going to be talking to the team. We'll be making those basketball decisions together, but and certainly have our scouts out and making sure that we're covering what we need to cover. But looking forward to working with her. She's been a part of really building a lot of different teams, so she brings in varied experiences, knows a lot.
So they're keeping Kelsey Mitchell. There's no way Kelsey Mitchell will take less money to play for another team, especially because there's no other team where she's going to get her money. She's going to get the same brand deals. No way is she going to take less money. Yeah. No way is she going to do that. So this is her on the on coach sides.
So you mentioned evaluating everything. Just kind of looking back on this season, last season, kind of from across the street, just how would you evaluate Christy's sides and kind of her performance as a first-time head coach so far?
Yeah, what a roller coaster ride for her. I was smart enough to know that the schedule was stacked against a young team early in the season, and the way that...
Again, she's not going to say Christy Sides is fired. Just putting that out there. And also, there's no way they fire Christy Sides without a replacement lined up. I think they're looking for that replacement. They could think that that replacement is not available for another year, but I'm telling you, they are 100% not firing her without a replacement.
They weathered the storm, got into a groove, after the Olympic break. I mean, I think she finished 18-12, after those first 10 games, and then of course went 7-4 in the last 11, and 3 of those losses were against teams in the finals. So,
like, you say that, but it's like they did after the Seattle. Like, you look at their record against teams that finished above 500. Like, how many teams finished above 500 in the WNBA? I think there was 6, including themselves. So there were 5 teams. So if you look at the team's record against the Liberty, 1-3, the Lynx 1-2, the Sun 1-3, the Aces 0-4, the Seattle Storm 1-3. So they went 3-3, 6, 8, 11, 15. They went 3-15 against the top 5 seeds. Like, that's just unacceptable. But also, if you look at teams lower than them, they go 4-0 against the Dream, 3-0 against the Mercury. Like, they swept the Dream, they swept the Mercury. They went 2-2 against the Mystics. They went 3-1 against the Sky. They went 2-1 against the Wings, and they went 2-1 against the Sparks. Or they got 3-1 against Sparks. Either way, like, they had a really bad problem beating teams better than them. And that's a huge issue. That is a huge issue. Whether it's coaching or players, that's a huge issue.
for a young team to make that kind of progress, I mean, it's hard to not be impressed.
Ironically, they didn't make that much progress. Like, that's the one thing. Like, if you look at the first 10 games of the season, yes, they had one bad loss to the Sparks in the first 10 games. They lost twice to the Liberty, twice to the Sun, to the Storm, to the Aces, and one bad loss to the Sparks. But they beat the Sparks and they beat the Sky. In the first 10 games, they lost to all the teams they continued to lose to throughout the year. They didn't get better. The other teams just got worse. Obviously, they did get better. But like, if you're just purely looking at it from a results-based standpoint, which a lot of people are, obviously from a process-based, they did get better as a team. If you're looking at it purely from a results-based standpoint, they didn't get better.
I think the outside noise, what she had to endure as a coach, and what they had to endure as a staff to keep that team focused and together. I mean, it takes time. It took a long time for teams that I had to gel and to get together. I mean, years. It doesn't happen in 4 months. It takes a few years. So I was really impressed with the progress that they made and how, Christy is a resilient leader. She's a culture builder. I know just that she's got that kind of, stamina to...
Can somebody say something good about Christy Sides' ability to coach basketball? I'm sorry, Lynn Dunn didn't. Aaliyah Boston didn't. Kelly Krauskopf isn't. Like, everything is about, she's good for culture. We like Christy. We like this. Can somebody say something good about her ability to coach basketball? I'm sorry. We have nobody in the organization over the past year has said anything. Has said anything good. No player has said anything good about her ability to coach basketball. I'm sorry. You cannot win a championship with a motivational speaker. Yeah, keep her along. Do what you did to Lynn Dunn. Relegate her to something else. Keep her involved. She's very, very good at building a culture. She's very good at getting team building exercises. She's good at getting a team on the same page. She can't coach basketball. The problem is, I think everybody knows she can't coach basketball. But anyway, is there about free agents?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if
For headphone users, I am sorry.
you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her. She, much like Tyrese Halliburton, she gets you the ball in places that you didn't even know you were open because she passes to space, she finds openings and ways to free up other players. So, I look at just really how her and Kelsey work together and the efficiency of the offense because of the way that she plays the game. Yes,
And she's on the money with that. That, like, I think agents are going to be really pushing hard for their players to show up to Indiana. Like, I genuinely do think, if you're asking me, if I was a WNBA agent, first thing I would do is go to my client and be like, look, are you willing to turn off social media? It's like, not are you willing to delete your account? Are you willing to just delete the app on your phone? Do you have a good support system? And if so, if the answer is yes to both of those questions, you can be in a situation where, and also, are you willing to run? You're in a situation where your commercial revenue is going to double. Your NIL value is going to double. Name and image likeness is going to double. I don't mean like, well, whatever the equivalent, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure NIL is just name and image likeness. Like, I don't think that's just exclusive for college, but like your value as far as marketability doubles or trebles or quadruples, depending on where you are. If you've come from the freaking links, it quadruples. As well as that, you are going to be made look good because Caitlin Clark will get you the ball. You will be open nonstop. All you have to do is hit open shots. All you have to do is try hard on defense. You don't even need to be a good defender. Just try hard. Like, I don't think Temi's a good defender. She just tries hard. I don't think she's a good offensive player. She just tries hard. Like, obviously, in Europe, she is just not at this level. Are you willing to work hard, and are you confident enough in yourself hitting open jump shots? If the answers to those questions are yeah, you are, I would be doing everything I can to get them to Indiana. Like, I'm trying to think of like 2025 free agents. And if you are an agent, if I was Nneka Nwumake's agent, I'd be pushing Nneka to go to Indiana. Obviously, I don't think she will. But I'm trying to think. Diana Taurasi, no. Natasha Howard. Don't think she wants to be there. If I was her agent, I'd be trying to get her to Indiana. Erica Wheeler. Bree Jones doesn't fit. Alyssa Thomas doesn't fit. Kelsey Mitchell go stay in Indiana. Stewie stay in New York. Nneka, I'd be pushing to go to Indiana. Bonner's going to go wherever Alyssa Thomas is, which is probably still Connecticut. Satu, I'd be really pushing. If I was Satu's agent, I would be really pushing for her to go to Indiana. Problem is they can core her. And to be in fairness, if they core her, Indiana can just go, cool, we will give you 2 first-round picks and we'll give you 2 firsts, I don't know, and Alyssa Smith. Or we'll give you 3 first-round pick swaps in Alyssa Smith. Something stupid, like some trade like that. But obviously we saw what Dallas got from Marina Mabry. Like, it's not going to be easy to take Satu. Cheyanne Park-Dias, maybe not. Maisha Hines-Allen. Honestly, if I was Maisha Hines-Allen, I'd push to stay in Minnesota. I'm trying to look down. It's like, what agents really should push their players? I think Natasha Heidemann could be a really nice bench player, like a bench Kelsey Mitchell. She could be a really, really good bench player for this team. If I was like Walker Kimbrough, maybe as a bench player, like a Julie Van Loo as a bench player. And surprisingly enough, I know she's probably, heck, I don't know what the story is with Awak Kuier's contract. If I was her as a end of the bench, where like a second string big, I think she'd fit better than a Megan Gustafson. Who Megan Gustafson could be available too. The likes of Xander Lassini. Obviously Dejanay's not going there. I actually think you're not going to be able to do it, but if you can somehow convince Michaela Onyenwere, maybe that's all the money you have in Chicago aren't set on her. I really like Michaela Onyenwere as a player. I really, really like her as a player, but I think Chicago are going to keep her. But like, you can tell she's talking about Tyrese Halliburton. She's talked about building around Tyrese Halliburton. She's talked about like, look, when I was in these NBA meetings, I was the only woman there, but I knew I belonged. I knew how to build teams. And yeah, I will say it that is, in my opinion, one of the big things when it comes to Kelly. Like, you can see here as well. This is another thing about Halliburton.
Primarily because they control it.
I just can't listen to that. But basically says we want to play almost identical to the way the Pacers are playing, which is up tempo, run the floor, stretch bigs, athletes 1 through 5. And I think that Aaliyah Boston fits. I think you can fit around Aaliyah Boston, but you can very much see that like they are treating this like an NBA team are. And I've said this plenty of times. The WNBA are so far behind. They're so far behind with everything where I fully feel like they are if a team is just run like an NBA team, if a team is coached like an NBA team, if a team plays like an NBA team with those type of analytics, like the WNBA still treats the J.R. Smith archetype of players like they have more value than being a six man. Like if there were WNBA philosophy was in the NBA, Jordan Clarkson would be a number one option. Like Jewel Lloyd, Arike Agumbawale, what Kelsey Mitchell sometimes looks like, Kelsey Plum, Ryan Howard, they are Jordan Clarkson type players. Your shoot first, low efficiency point wings are six men in the NBA. They are being treated like stars in the WNBA. Your back to the basket bigs who slow the whole tempo down are being treated like unbelievable players. Mediocre mid-range shooters that are black holes are being treated like superstars. But now you'll see what Caitlin Clark is. You'll see what Aaliyah Boston's going to turn into. And I mean that. If Aaliyah Boston gets that face-up game sorted, she's going to turn into a superstar. Like, in my opinion, Emma Mason is like one of the 5 best players in the world. And people are like, oh, but she wasn't that when she was in the WNBA. Yeah, because she wasn't a player game. Like Emma Mason, everyone's like, oh, Aaliyah Boston's female yoke. No, that's Emma Mason. She can do literally everything on the floor. And that's the problem, is that the European side of basketball, the talent gap is bigger in the women's between the WNBA and European basketball. But the coaching gap is equally as big. The coaching gap's even bigger between both. And it's like, you can see some of these really smart players. You can see Aaliyah Boston having to come out of her comfort zone. But the problem is that these centers don't exist. But yeah, it is good to see someone like treating it seriously, treating it like it's an NBA level team. I'm telling you, she means business.